RT News, July 4th, 2012. Published 11:58. Edited 20:01. Confirmed. CERN discovers new particle likely to be the Higgs boson. Video in this article shows a representation of traces of proton-proton collisions measured in the compact muon solenoid, CMS, experienced in the search for the Higgs boson. Two teams of scientists at CERN have confirmed the discovery of a new subatomic particle, which may well be the elusive Higgs boson, also known as the God particle. I can confirm that a particle has been discovered that is consistent with the Higgs boson theory, said John Womersley, Chief Executive of the UK's Science and Technology Facilities Council. The result is still preliminary, but, quote, it's very strong and very solid, unquote. According to Joe Incandela, spokesman for one of the two teams hunting for the Higgs particle. The CMS team is confident about its findings, which they say leave only a 1 in 2 million chance that the result they received could have happened if no Higgs boson existed. Both teams put the mass of the new particle at around 125 giga-electron volts, GeVs, corresponding to the predicted mass of the Higgs boson. The discovery is the strongest yet in favor of the particle's existence. So what is the Higgs boson? The search for the Higgs boson has been, as the scientists' presentation said, the work of thousands of people over many years, and lots of hours of work without sleep, as they were probably justified in pointing out. They have been searching not just for the mysterious Higgs boson particle, but specifically for the Standard Model Higgs. There is not just the particle, but also the theoretical model about its properties that the British scientist Peter Higgs has become so famous for. The Higgs boson is the last subatomic elemental particle predicted by the Standard Model to be discovered experimentally. The model is a fundamental part of quantum physics, which manages to incorporate 3 of the 4 known fundamental interactions, the electromagnetic, weak, and strong nuclear interactions, meaning only gravity is excluded. Since its formulation in the mid-20th century, Standard Model has been considered increasingly credible as new discoveries conformed to its predictions. The boson, which is responsible for elementary particles having mass, has evaded physicist eyes for decades because they didn't have the means to observe it. The Large Hadron Collider, LHC, the world's biggest particle accelerator, was built partially for the purpose of finding the Higgs boson. However, confusion still abounds about how the Higgs boson could be explained to laymen. At a press conference, a journalist kicked off the questions session by asking, quote, "So what would you have us write? Have you found the Higgs or what?" End quote. What the team are more than 99%, but not quite 100%, sure of, is that after hundreds of painstaking measurements, they have indeed found a new particle never before discovered. This alone is a great discovery for science. It also seems likely that it is the famed Higgs boson, which could tell us so much about how the universe works and about why particles have mass. But scientists weren't going to give the journalists the easy headline they wanted. It was too early to say, they cautioned, to discern if it was really the particle they expected it to be. That would require years more work examining its properties. So what, even roughly, is this particle, and what does it tell us? In response to such a question, the panel turned the press curiosity back on itself. As CERN director Ralph Huron put it, quote, "You take a large room with journalists, laughter of course, and they are all equally distributed in the room. This is the field which would give mass to elementary particles through the interaction of these particles with the field. But this field of journalists obviously has an interaction in between itself, and this self-interaction can produce the Higgs boson. How can I imagine that? Imagine I open the door and I whisper a rumor into the room. Then the journalists are curious. They cluster. What did he say? This cluster of journalists is the Higgs boson. That's easy. That's particle physics for laymen without a single equation. End quote. When asked about the funding of such a project, the panel explained that it was a remarkable example of European collaboration, and that because the companies involved in constructing the LHC were making research and development investments at the very forefront of technological innovation, their returns for the project have been considerable. Signs of the particle were discovered through thousands of experiments at the LHC, where protons and antiprotons were smashed at almost light speeds. The collisions produced new particles in their wake. Many of them can exist only fractions of a second before decaying into lighter ones. Scientists were analyzing the resulting particles to establish what produced them and pinpoint the rare events of the appearance of the yet unseen particle. They also had to ensure that what they got were actual sightings rather than quirks of probability, which rules quantum physics. The Higgs boson is often referred to as the God particle by the media. The name comes from the title of a popular science book by Leon Latterman, who nicknamed the particle in that way due to its importance to modern particle physics. However, many scientists dislike the name because it exaggerates the role the Higgs boson actually plays. In one photo, a computer screen is pictured before a scientific seminar to deliver the latest update in the search for the Higgs boson at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN, in Meyrin, near Geneva, July 4, 2012. Reuters, Denis Balibo. In another photo, British physicist Peter Higgs arrives for a scientific seminar to deliver the latest update in the search for the Higgs boson at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN, in Meyrin, near Geneva, July 4, 2012. Reuters, Denis Balibo. www.rt.com/news/CERN-Higgs-boson-378.
So again, compatibility with the signal strength. Our overall best fit is 0.8, but they're consistent in 7 and 8 TeV samples. Not significant. This shows the distribution across the various channels and subchannels, the scatter around that 0.8. This is 7 and 8 TeV data combined. Now we go to a little bit tighter combinations. These are the 5 channels I showed you and how they distribute. And this is showing the 4 different production modes. So untagged, VBF tagged, associated production, and then TT bar Higgs, which I won't go into, but a result will be presented at ICHEP. And we're getting some sensitivity there, better than we had expected as well. So everything is pretty much self-consistent across the topologies, but it's very early. Keep that in mind. What we looked at too was how well the W and ZZ channels are performing relative to each other, because you expect custodial symmetry, and you find in fact that the ratio is 0.9 with large errors, so it's consistent. And then we looked at the couplings themselves in a scan of the vector boson coupling and the fermion coupling. This also just came out, I think, last night, so it's very early. And it's pretty much in agreement with the standard model at 95% confidence level. Standard models here, this is what we're measuring. So it's a bit off, but again, we need more data. Okay, so to wrap up, in summary, we've seen this, we've seen this, we calculate this, we lose the page number, and we conclude by saying that we have observed a new boson with a mass of 125.3 plus or minus 0.6 GeV at 4.9 standard deviations. Thank you. One minute. I wanted to show a few, can I show a few acknowledgements? Thank you. Thank you on behalf of CMS. I wanted to acknowledge a few people. First of all, there were many things that have been done by the theoretical community and standard model predictions that have been just spot on over the years. It's a tribute to a huge amount of work done for all the accelerators by many theorists. We thank also the Higgs cross-section working group and, of course, the 5 gentlemen, six, who contributed to the theory. This is actually to electroweak theory itself and electroweak symmetry breaking and Higgs theory. Thanks also to all the people involved in the accelerator groups, all of the DGs who have been involved. It took 6 DGs to get here, actually, which is pretty amazing. It's an incredible project. I'll let you read this on its own. Here's a picture of all the spokesmen I think are in here from all the experiments over the years. And again, CMS collaboration, who worked like crazy to get these results done in this time, which is, I think, a phenomenal record considering we stopped taking data 2 weeks ago. So I thank them all. Hope they all sleep well tonight. These are all of the institutes in CMS. We have 3,300 scientists. I'd like to thank. I'm almost done. Thanks to all of our funding agencies. And I also wanted to say one last thing. I would like to thank the member states of CERN. I can say this. I'm not from a member state, but I think it's extraordinary that they have opened CERN up and these projects to all countries in the world. And that's a magnificent thing because these results are now global and shared by all of mankind, I think. So I thank you for that. Thank you. Okay?
We'll leave the mic on.
Okay.